These are the laws, by the way, that when passed prior to the U.S. Supreme Court Dobbs decision, the Idaho Attorney General's office warned would be susceptible to such lawsuits. Well, a lot has changed since those opinions were issued, including who will be Idaho's next Attorney General. With the current AG losing in the May primary, former Congressman Raul Labrador is going to represent the Republicans in November. That primary election did feature a Democratic ticket, with Steve Scanlon winning the bid for the Dems. But last week, Scanlon dropped out of the race for the general election. Why? Well, we'll get to that. But according to Idaho law, the state political party gets to choose a replacement candidate to challenge Labrador for state attorney general. And their pick? Boise attorney Tom Arkoosh, who was introduced at the state capitol today. Here's chief political reporter Joe Paris with an answer to why Scanlon dropped out and why Arkoosh stepped up.
The race for Idaho Attorney General is now minus one name and plus another. Winner of the Democratic primary for AG, Steve Scanlon, he dropped out. His replacement is Boise attorney Tom Arkoosh, who was introduced earlier today at the state capitol. Scanlon dropping out is not a surprise for the Idaho Democratic Party. It was in the cards from the beginning. Jared DeLoof, executive director of the Idaho Democratic Party, says Scanlon was a planned placeholder on the ballot.
We were looking for someone to hold that space for us throughout the primary so that we would have the option in exactly this event of Raul Labrador winning the Republican nomination, that we would be able to field a candidate that would run a strong race for this fall.
Tom Arkoosh may not be a name you're familiar with. He is new to running for office in Idaho.
I'm in a stage in my life with my law firm where I was mostly doing mentoring, and I had the capacity and the time and the wherewithal to do it, and I was motivated, very motivated to do it when they asked.
Arkoosh, a legal veteran with 44 years of experience, says he is not political and only recently affiliated with a political party.
Previously in my lifetime, I was unaffiliated until this last primary. So I was a Republican for approximately 2.5 to 3 months until I registered Democrat to accept the invitation to run for this office. I felt the primary race in the Republican Party was important enough for me to register, frankly, to vote against the very candidate I'm running against right now.
The role of the Idaho AG has been debated in recent months, with some speaking out about the possibility of an activist attorney general. Arkoosh says he believes the office should be nonpartisan.
I think what the office needs is not a politician who has been in Congress and not practicing law, who has spent a career trying to obtain or have an office, is not what the office needs. The office, incidentally, is well run today. I think Lawrence Wasden has done a good job, and I would like to see what is traditionally a good lawyer in that office continue.
GOP primary winner in the race for AG, former Congressman Raul Labrador, he said during a debate on Idaho Public Television before the May election that he believes political experience for the job is valuable.
This job is not just a legal job, it's a political job. You have to get along with the legislature, you have to get along with the governor, you have to get along with the heads of agencies. You have to be able to make your argument to these people in a way that is not just legal, but it's also political, so they understand the ramifications of the things that are happening in the state.
The Idaho Democrats say their campaign for AG with Arkoosh is bipartisan in nature. They point to the campaign treasurer for Arkoosh as an example.
Former Supreme Court Chief Justice and Attorney General of the state of Idaho, Jim Jones, is the treasurer of Tom Arkoosh's campaign and is actively involved there. This race is about preventing the slide to further extremism and keeping good government for the people of Idaho.
I'm a lawyer, and I practiced law for 44 years, and I have no political agenda. I believe in the rule of law.
Critics of the Idaho Democrats are questioning the process of having a placeholder candidate run only to replace them later on. DeLoof says he isn't worried about setting a bad precedent.
It was a unanimous vote to put him forth as our nominee. I think we always want to make sure that give our candidates as much lead time to run and win their races. So this is not how we ideally would do it, but this is an existential threat for the office of Attorney General.
This is fascinating. Yeah. I mean, the policies and the reasons why Arkoosh is running aside. We just had Brandon Durst in our studio 10 days ago to talk about this whole blurred lines when it comes to political parties and how people are jumping around based on primary elections and all this kind of stuff. This, to take somebody who's a Republican, used to be a Republican, and put them up as a Democrat running for office and have a Republican also running that campaign is fascinating.
Well, and Arkoosh, you know, he really wasn't a Republican. He was Republican for a few months just so he could vote in the primary. But it is interesting. You see the reason why some people would change political parties quickly. So it kind of really sheds some more detail on your interview with Mr. Durst from last week. I did ask, though, Mr. Arkoosh, I said, you know, there are going to be people that say, well, you just were a Republican, now you're a Democrat, and they may be uninformed about the entire thing. So I asked him point blank, do you have any interest in left policies or left-leaning policies? I know that there's some people in the community that were hoping there'd be an attorney general candidate that may say, well, I'm going to step up and I'm going to fight this way and that way against Idaho's abortion laws. And it would have to be someone from the left, likely a Democrat. That's not what Arkoosh is here to do. And he told me very clearly, when he says he's not political, he means that to the left or to the right. He honestly believes that the Attorney General's office should be a nonpartisan position. It should just be a lawyer that reads the rule of the law and really applies it that way. So it'll be interesting, though, as we get into this election into November. I cannot wait to see he and Mr. Labrador interact. I think it'll be a very compelling conversation.
This may be the playbook then for any of the moderate Republicans to kind of go this avenue a little bit if this is how they want to seek office, I guess. We'll see how that goes. All right,
We'll see.
Yeah, you're right. It'll be interesting to see how this general election works out. Thank you, Joe.